As we enter into the sacred space of listening and receiving, I invite you to join me in this short induction ceremony in order to be fully open, receptive, and aligned with the information that is for your highest good in this conversation today. Begin by closing your eyes and taking a deep breath into the belly. And as you're breathing, bring your awareness into your heart center, making contact with the light in your heart. And find your heart light glowing, growing and expanding out around your chest. And now bring that light of your heart up through your crown center, through the top of the head, extending up all the way above you into central sun, making contact with the heart energy of central sun. And then bring that powerful energy down through the ethers into the crown of your head, down through your body, and into your heart center, expanding and joining with the light in your heart, and continuing down to the base of your spine, extending down all the way down into the center of the earth, making contact with the heart center of Mother Earth. And now bring that nurturing energy up through the layers of the earth, carrying liquid crystal plasma through roots up into the base of your spine, and then spreading into every cell of your body, moving into the heart center, joining with the light from above and joining with the light of your heart, creating a holy trinity of light within you, and then spreading out around you, holding space for your highest good, your highest awakening, and the opening to receive the divine downloads, encodements, activations, and light codes that are perfect for you at this time. Breathe that in deeply into your belly, allowing yourself to expand in this energy and opening to step in to the container of receiving. Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension, Season 6. We are exploring expanded states of consciousness. I'm your host, Waxéla Sananda, and today I have a new guest who I'm so excited to introduce you to, Randy Hatton. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Yeah, it's an honor and a pleasure to be invited onto your talk here. I have did a little research, and I know that you have been through some really amazing things in life and have also been helping a lot of people also to help find themselves and their purpose in life. So I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for inviting me onto your show here.
Oh gosh, my pleasure. And thank you for that. So I heard you speak. We were actually on a panel together. And when I heard you speak, you were saying things, and I'm like, oh, I was just like dinging like, oh yeah, I want to know more about that. And liquid crystal plasma and, all these things. And I'm like, you were speaking my language. Let's just say that. And so I reached out to you after that panel. I'm like, will you come on my show too? Because you have this amazing relationship with water, and it's so much beyond, what most people think about. We have our water gadgets and our filters and our, things like that. You take water and the spirituality of water and the science, and just kind of bring it to the next level is the best way that I can say it. And so I would love, for starters, just to have you explain a little bit about who you are and what you do and what your work is all about.
Okay, yeah. And first thing I'd really like to share is that if nobody gets anything out of this talk, the greatest thing I would hope for is that you get that water is the source of all life. It is the mother of all life. And it wants to be treated with love and respect and kindness. Okay? We have just forgotten this. We have forgotten this for whatever reason, I don't know, but we have. And so look at water as your beloved, as your very best friend. And how would you treat your very best friend? If you know your very best friend loves to dance, it loves to spiral, spin, flow, and fall, then you're gonna encourage your best friend to do that. You're gonna support your best friend to do that. And that, to me, is that we can just get this concept that water is alive. Water is the source of all life. And years ago, we discovered pumps and pipes because we found it was easier to get water from point A to point B. But we did not think about copying nature's way when we did this. We didn't think of water as this living, breathing being, the source of all life. And so my greatest mission, I think, really truly in this lifetime, is to help people to reconnect to the spirit of water, really remembering this, the sacredness of it. It's so important for us to fully wake up and remember who we are. So anyways, that's, there's a lot of things that have come through me over the years, and that the technology did not come from me. It came through me. It belongs to the planet. It belongs to all of us. And, but again, it's not the technology that's so important. It's how we see water. So try to just, when you hear, listen from your heart and not the mind, because some of the things I share won't really register with the mind real well. They won't make a lot of sense. But if we learn to listen with our hearts, as you know, and many of us are learning, that's when we get the real answers for us, the real truth for us. And we just help one another to remember what we already know. Just like when you take a little amount of water that's been given a lot of love by copying nature's way, what I call full spectrum water, and you can put it in a lot of water, it helps that other water to remember its true essence. Right? So, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. I just love the whole concept of living sacred water. Years ago, I was given a jar of holy water that someone had taken, I guess, on a trip around the world, and it had been blessed by monks and all different people, and really supposedly had a very high vibration. And then the idea was to give it and to always keep a little bit, but keep refilling it, and that vibration would translate to all of the water that it's shared in. And I loved that. I loved sharing it and just having that in my life, and that concept of it's sacred, it's alive, and we get to share it. So this is just beautiful to bring our consciousness back to water and let it be our friend, and nurture us in that way. And so I have a number of things, and we have a number of things to talk about today. And so I'm going to kind of just share from what we've talked about previously and what we want to touch on. So for starters, I'd love to ask you, what are the different types of water and the differences between full spectrum, structured, bottled, and tap water?
Okay. So in our bodies, we have many different types of water. We have sick water, we have alive water, we have stagnant waters, we have moving waters. All right. The key is to getting all of these waters and it's purified as much as possible. okay? Getting it back to that full spectrum life force energy. And because as we do that, I think we're going to find this more and more in the world of science and quantum physics. The more we have this liquid crystal water that we continue to put into our bodies, the more our bodies become more liquid crystal beings that we are, one thing. And it activates, it's the key to activating the dormant DNA. The codes in water, when we understand the alchemy of getting codes in water, this is the big thing of activating the DNA. So when we go to and look at different, tap water, bottled water, filtered waters, basically how I see bottled water is water that has been enslaved. It has literally been enslaved into these plastic bottles, similar to what we did to the slaves years ago, shackling them, selling them. This is not what the purpose for water is. Water does not like this. And so when we put water in these plastic bottles, it becomes stagnant and it has hardly any life force energy. How do you expect it to give you life or really hydrate you? It's not going to do it. So yes, if you're dying, you better drink some of it. You're dying of thirst, but most 95% of people are dehydrated on the planet. And this is the reason why we haven't saw the importance of keeping water moving, spiraling, spinning, falling, doing the dance of life. We were designed to drink water out of a mountain spring. That's how we were designed to drink water, or out of a river. But this day and age, of course, we can't do that. So when we come even to a point where we buy a good filter, like a reverse osmosis or a distillation, and we say, well, look, I got now pure, clean water. And yeah, you do, but you're only halfway there. You've only removed the physical contaminants. And so until we remove those vibrational frequencies, those informational fields that come from the chlorine, the fluoride, the other things that we put in our city water, like salts, etc., those informational fields still, when they go into your body, even though the physical has been removed, the vibrational hasn't. So the body responds in a homeopathic way that it's actually still getting that. So we must learn how to erase these informational fields. The key is the most efficient way I have come across in 22 years of research, and that is a free-flowing centripetal interwinding vortex. That's the key to drop that load, drop that memory. That's the key to getting the gases back in the water. And we'll go into more depth later about gases and water and the importance of this. And getting that zeta potential, that life force back in the water, getting the electrons back in the water. We are electromagnetic beings and we need electrons to raise our voltage. The work of Dr. Jerry Tennant is very important work that he brought through, and voltage is healing. And water is a major player in getting some of that voltage up in the body. So there really is, even I have mountain well water that's really healthy, but because my system is not designed to copy nature's way, the first mistake we make is the water is coming into a blade. It's being shredded by an impeller, right? That's the first mistake we make. The second mistake, in my opinion, is that that pump is driven by AC power. And there's a power cord that goes all the way down to that pump, all the way down the pipe. So the second mistake, we're putting this 50, 60 hertz frequency into the water. Okay? Third mistake, we're pumping water under straight lines under high pressure from that pump to your pressure tank. So then it gets straight-jacketed into this pressure tank with these 90-degree turns, all usually along the way, because that's usually how things are plumbed. And by the time it comes out of the tap, that water is completely different water than what it was down there in the earth before it got sucked into the pump. Again, think of our beloved, our very best friend, how would we treat it? So, so eventually we will wake up and realize we need to spiral our water down our pipes. We need to create pumps that don't have blades. I know that pump. It's Nikolai Tesla technology. They're called disc flow pumps. I've searched the world over. What's the most kindest, friendliest pump on the planet? And it's DC powered, and you could pump a goldfish through it and not hurt it at all. So these are some of the things we want to think about as we go down this road of being more conscious about what we're doing here on the Earth Mother and this planet.
Wow, so interesting. Yeah, you know, like my family, for environmental reasons, swore off the bottled water, no single-use plastic bottles at our house years ago, and we try and, you know, really maintain that. But just the idea of the plastic bottle being an enslavement of the water is a really interesting concept. And, you know, and it does make sense. Another reason why, to me, bottled water is something that is just a absolute last resort. I don't want to drink that. And that makes sense now, even more so why, beyond the plastic, you know?
Right. And just while we're on that note, real quickly too, we want to remember that, so we want this magnetism in water that the Earth has, this human resonance, these frequencies too, right? And so what happens when we store water in a metal container? We rob that magnetism very quickly out of the water. Just a note to everyone, water does not like being in metal containers. It likes glass, ceramic, you know, what copper pot, you know, fine. If you're not too much copper in your body already, you got to be careful with that. But just remember that magnetism or metal robs energy, robs magnetism from the water. It robs energy from our food when we cut our food with a knife. It robs energy from the soil when we rototill the soil with metal blades. We want to get away from metal and water, definitely. Now, sometimes you don't have a choice. When I run like water through my distiller and process, I don't have much of a choice, but make sure you get the magnetism back in the water.
Interesting. Okay, on that note, I have a question about, so I have a water spinner, you know, that creates the vortex. It charges, it's a chargeable base that plugs in, and then you charge it, and then you take the cord out, but it's I guess a battery, you know, this being charged and then it spins the water in a glass container. What's that doing in your perspective?
Well, that is oxygenating the water. That's going to basically, that's oxygenating the water. It has an energizing, it does have some effect with the magnetism because the impeller, the little impeller on it. But we don't need a large amount of magnetism in our drinking water. We actually want to be careful with too much. But ideally, what I have discovered is that when you have an array of magnets that are at the 0 point area where the water goes from centripetal to centrifugal. In your version, it's doing both. It's doing this centripetal, centrifugal, feminine to masculine, right? The toroidal motion, what you call. So if you put some magnets down in the area or along that container, that glass container that you have, if you even glued a few magnets along that, it would support getting more magnetism in the water. Because the only magnetic part you have going on is the little stir stick. So that's one thing. And then another thing that I would suggest to people that have those is you put one of those tensor rings. Slim Sperling discovered this years ago. I've been playing with them for 15 years and they definitely work. They are tensor rings. Slip a tensor ring over that unit. Something really unique happens when we combine magnetism and the tensor ring. They complement one another. So also, key thing to remember about water. Cold in water is energy in water. I don't care what anybody says about water and how you should drink it warm or whatever. Drink at whatever temperature you want it. Normally, if you live in India or Africa, you're going to be more prone to be good for you to drink warm water, excuse me, because you don't find much warm water anywhere in those areas on the planet. But just remember, up before you drink it, keep the water cold. And before you vortex it, keep the water cold. And the reason is, you can't get gases into water very well when it's warm. It will not go into the molecule of the water. Okay. You could bubble water, a whole bunch of ozone, oxygen, whatever, in warmer water, and it's only going to stay, it's not going to go into the molecule of the water and hold, not very long at all. So try to remember those few things when always working with water. That's why we see more toxins going into our waters in our colder regions of the planet. The CO2 levels, they go into the water where it's cold. That's why there's issues with the polar bears and these other beings that are living in the colder North and South Pole, because the toxins around the whole globe are much easier going into those cold waters.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned the gases. That's the next question is I wanted to have you talk about the importance of gases, ionic minerals, and you did mention the informational fields as well in the drinking water.
Yeah. Okay. So in nature generates and stores energy through layering. There's a lot we overlook about layering, from our bodies, from our skin, esodermal, endodermal, ectodermal, the layering of the earth mothers or soil, the clay. And this also happens in nature, in water, in layering. So what happens is, first thing I want to make a note, gases in water are equally as important as the water. We have way overlooked this. For optimal health and well-being, gases in water are equally as important as water. That's why bottled water not going to do you much. That's why any stagnant water, even coming out of our taps, is not going to do you a lot. The best water is fully mature water that comes out of the earth on its own, right? And then you go up in the mountains like where I live, and you go just like a quarter mile down from where it comes out of the top of the mountain. That's going to be the healthiest water you can find, because it now came out, it's now hitting all the branches and the stones, and it's spiraling and spinning. You're going to find that it's 39.2 degrees, right around 39 degrees. Again, the optimal density, optimal energy in water is 39.2 degrees, back to temperature. So we're getting a little off, but temperature plays a really critical role. This is why nature does what nature does, because it can allow these gases now, once it comes out of the ground and it starts doing the dance of life down the mountain. And now we have the birds chirping and the crickets and these little sound frequencies that are way overlooked of the importance too. The sunlight is coming down through the trees and these spectrums of light that are hitting the water. See, now we're looking at full spectrum water. So these gases, so when you take, for instance, you probably could even do it with the little device you have. I know it works in a perfect hyperbolic cone, or hyperbolic egg, excuse me. When you run water in a hyperbolic egg for about 5-6 minutes, and then you shut it off and you drop a couple drops into that water, there's something very interesting that happens. You see a lotus. You see a rose or a lotus in the water. That, what you're seeing is the layering effect of the gases in the water. Okay. And when these gases, when they go into our body, one thing, oxygen really supports a healthy microbiome in the gut, which supports a healthy immune system. Okay. But gases combined in the water create what is known as zeta potential. This is a key This is life force energy, zeta potential, right? So now, even as the water flows down around the stone and rivers and streams, even by volcanic process, these stones get aligned to the Earth's electromagnetic field to the north and the south pole. So these subtle energies and magnetism go into the water as they're spiraling down around the rocks. And it's easy to see also the cooling effect by spiraling. The spiraling movement has a cooling effect up to a point where you can measure the temperature of a water before it comes to a rock. It's a little warmer. And then on the other downside of the river of the rock, after it's creating these vortex, these eddies and vortexes, it's a little cooler, right? So this is why nature designed streams and rivers like a snake, because this creates more vortices and vortexing horizontally, vertically, more of these vertical movement, which is creating life force energy. So again, yeah, that's quite a bit there. But the key again to getting gases in water's got to be cold. Ideally, you implode it into a toroidal field. You put water in a hyperbolic egg into a toroid, and you fully implode it. Like when I put dissolved carbon, so the water I drink every day, I inject dissolved carbon, pure hydrogen and oxygen, and sometimes ozone, if I'm feeling I have some bacteria going on. And you can put a lid on top of this egg that I have, inject, like to say the dissolved carbon, 6 pounds into that egg, and watch the gauge go up. And literally wait, it takes a while, but that gauge will go down into a minus vacuum, literally a negative vacuum, showing that you have fully imploded this gas into the water. And it will stay in there for a long, long time if you keep it cool. This is also why produce in our refrigerators will always last the longest if you keep your refrigerator right around 39 degrees. Just a half of a degree difference makes a big difference. 1 degree, big difference. Measure, take a thermometer, measure where you put your produce in your refrigerator, set your refrigerator to that temperature between 39 and 40, and your produce is always going to last the longest. And that's because of the water in the produce stays at the highest energy possible. Because when we drop from 39 going colder, water loses energy. When we go up from that, water loses energy, right?
Wow. Oh, that's so interesting. And what a great tip. I'm going to do that.
It works.
And not difficult, right? Okay, wow. There's so many fascinating things you're touching on here. And I'm going to go back to a few of those. So first, I want to move forward. This is a big one and a kind of a really important one for this particular summit conversation about expanded consciousness. What is the connection between water, consciousness, and evolution?
Okay, so my thesis is, and I believe this to be true, but my thesis are evolution is governed by water. The Akashic records are stored in water. Right? So for instance, when we eat an apple right off the tree, the water in that apple goes in that we eat the apple, we perspire out the most of its liquid and urinate it out, more evolved than it was before that apple was here. Okay, so the evolution of everything on the planet relates directly around water. When we die, our water goes back into the water cycle. So we're all like one drop of water in the ocean, and we are the ocean. Right? We're one drop of water in the ocean, and we are the ocean. So as I purify my waters, I'm purifying the waters of the entire planet. As I do what I'm guided to do with water, I'm supporting the waters of the entire planet. And this, to me, this is one of the major keys again to evolution, to evolving, and also for self-realization. So water, from the testing that I've done with something called GDV, when you drink full spectrum water, we know that it supports the balancing of the brain hemispheres. This has been proven many times over, right? Well, that's supporting the balancing of the masculine and feminine. It's an important thing for self-realization, that we remember this and we get into our balance of our masculine and feminine. We also know it aligns chakras, supports chakras, it enhances biophoton energy field around us. But the bigger thing that it's doing that we haven't fully understanding, and that's the codes in water, the activating the dormant DNA that haven't been fully activated. And I believe, again, water plays a major role in the evolution in this way. It's huge, and it's have been way overlooked. I think way overlooked in a very big way, and probably for a reason. Actually, I think there's a reason it's been overlooked, but it's all perfect. It is. So to me, we have a wormhole in our DNA. Our DNA is a wormhole, and the key is how we realize now it's not so much about genetics; it's about epigenetics, and right. It's about informational fields. It's about frequencies. It's about frequencies. My teacher told me this 25 years ago. Son, everything is frequency, energy, resonance, vibration. Remember that. That's the key to everything here. Everything is that. And when we understand water, one molecule carries 440,000 bits of information. Okay. There's 6 trillion molecules in one drop of water. 6 trillion. Science now shows you can take 1 drop of blood with AIDS in it, dilute it to the Pacific Ocean, and still detect the electromagnetic imprint of that AIDS. All right. This goes back to my thesis, why water carries these codes, carries this memory. But when water has been contaminated so much and it has the chemicals around it, it has a hard time sharing information. It's like if we're clouded too much around our aura field, we have a hard time communicating, understanding. Okay, well, water's the same way. So we will find we are just scratching the surface of understanding the true depth and power that water carries. Yeah. And it's coming, and more, it's coming more and more, because we're moving more into the quantum physics and quantum science. And the more we do that, the more we're going to start understanding these things. But yeah, so long answer to your question, but in a little bit of.
No, it's fascinating. Did you say a water molecule has 144,000 bits of information?
No, it actually has 440,000 bits of information.
440,000.
So that means basically there's 440,000 individual panels on one molecule, meaning it can carry up to 440,000 bits of information, also known as IDF or intrinsic data field. So this is why water is the most programmable substance on the planet. It's the most programmable. It's a liquid crystal.
Yeah.
And they've already used this in computers. They've proven this. You can use a tiny amount of water for your whole memory bank of your computer, but they can't make any money on water memory. When eventually we're using water in our computers for our memory banks, because it's way more affordable. It works. And this is why it's so important with the water in our bodies, again, how we treat it, what type we're putting in our bodies, what type of frequencies and energies we come around. you know, everybody who walks down the aisle of and who has ever handled that water, getting it from point A to point B, everybody's energy, actually a part of some of their energy goes into that water, right? It does, because it's not, it doesn't work real well. I will say from research, water won't take in these codes, whether they're sound frequencies, light spectrums, prayer, whatever. They won't take from the cosmos, the energy of the galaxies and the cosmos. It doesn't take it in very efficiently if it's not flowing and moving and doing the dance of life. This is also why it's so important to do this with our water. Put it in a toroidal field or put it in a centripetal interlining vortex, because you're opening it up to really receive the prayer that you're giving to your water, to receive the photons that you're pulsing in your water, or light, laser light, whatever you're chewing, the sound frequencies. We can make super healing water really simple right in our, you know, in our kitchen, when you understand the basic concepts of this.
I want to have like 3 hours with you, but you just talked about the, you know, like basically turning water into medicine and how we can do that. You talked earlier about plasma water and the water vapor, and it's so fascinating. So I want to give you space to share about, you know, even the concept of 6-dimensional frequencies in the water that we were talking before we began. So I want to make sure you give us that, because this audience is going to love that.
Well, can I share some photos while I talk about it?
Yeah.
So this is basically what I call the plasma purification portal. And this is where I catch the vapor that comes off of this water. This water, I put no chemicals in this water, and so it's as pure as it gets. And the vapor that comes off of this, I've been guided just this last winter to harness, to catch this vapor. And when you see the vortex, what you see in the middle there, what you see, this is 5th dimensional. This is 5th dimensional energy. And it literally, you can't see it with the naked eye, but there is thousands of sheets, and the sheets spin faster and faster as it reaches the center point, which it implodes. This is imploding. The water does not create what you're seeing here. This is the Kundalini. You see, it's a kind of a Kundalini energy. The water doesn't create that. That is primary, the energy. The water is being drawn into this energy wake, and it is 5th dimensional. So this vapor that comes out of this right here is what we call the 0 point. This is where the water goes from centripetal, the feminine, the implosion, cooling, contracting, organizing, levitational force. So it's creating this levitational force that goes up, and it goes way up in the sky. I have many people tell me it goes out 1.5 miles, way up, way out, all around it. And this energy also goes way down into the earth. But so the 0 point, we go from centripetal and then to centrifugal, the masculine, which is about explosion, heat, leading towards death and erosion and decay. And a little off the subject, but this is how nature works. In nature, we have both the centripetal and the centrifugal. The feminine is the trees, causing the trees to grow up. The masculine is the trees that are dying, giving the energy to the feminine to grow up. So we want to keep this, and in nature, it's kind of a teeter-totter. It goes a little more feminine, a little more masculine, a little more centripetal, a little more centrifugal. But it's usually a healthy balance. Nature is around 65 feminine, 35 masculine. Okay. So back to the plasma water. My guidance is this vapor that goes into the room, catch it and make alchemical formulas or herbal remedies. It is plasma. It is 6-dimensional. It is very, very high frequency, high energy water, because it is galactic plasma water. This is tapping into the cosmos. This is creating a big black hole, bringing in the informational fields of the cosmos, of the all, and especially what is right above it when it's running, what planets, what star systems, what's more above it and out from its perimeter, you know, going out like this. You're going to really strongly tap into that field. So if you're wanting more, you know, Neptune energy in your water, well, then run it at that night and catch that vapor. If you're wanting more Jupiter or whatever energies that you're wanting, do it at that time, and you're gonna tap into that water more. So I'm gonna go on to, so here we are at night, and sorry, here we are at nighttime, and you can see now the vapors, because the laser is dancing on the vapor light. That's why you can see the lasers. The room was full of this 6-dimensional plasma water. And I take a dehumidifier and I catch that vapor. Then I take that vapor and run it through a distiller. You get it really pure. Now we have deuterium depleted water. Now we take that water into the hyperbolic egg, and I basically, the water I drink every day is 20% that water and 80% distilled water. I now add 3 quality minerals, because minerals carry codes. Minerals support carrying these informational codes, because we're going to be putting the codes in next. So I literally put in monatomic plasma silver, monatomic if I need the silver. Mainly I do the monatomic plasma gold and platinum, small amounts, 6 drops. Then I put in the 3 different types of minerals. So now we have our 20% plasma water, 80% distilled. We have our minerals, we have our platinum and gold. You could add whatever you feel your body needs. The key is that you need very little, because this water is going to be coming into a homeopathic, it is so potentized. Everything you add to it, you need to add very little because of this potentizing effect. So now we take it into this hyperbolic egg and we start imploding our gases, dissolved carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, ozone, depending on what the person needs. Then we now go to the area where I douse for people. I make this special water for myself and I make it for individuals. I douse, I ask what photons, what colors, because I have 24 different colors, and you need to pulse them at a specific pulse rate. This is all critical for it to work correctly. I will eventually do some courses and classes on this. And then we recite what I call a light language, which comes from Catherine Parker. It is a universal light language. It is ancient. It is 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional. And so like Akim Kabbalah, that is supporting water to come back to its natural spring state. There's many, ones for detoxing the body. There's ones for getting bacteria, fungus growth in the body. So as I am pulsing the photons after the gases have been imploded, and again, there's some alchemy behind this to make it all right, but I'm reciting, I'm asking the water to open up and receive this light language as the photons are pulsing. So after I'm done with that syllable, I change the color out, I go to the next color, the different syllable goes in. I normally use to do about six of different colors and 6 different syllables, sometimes a few more, but usually around there is plenty. And now you have what I call full spectrum superhuman water and medicine water. This is medicine. This is the future, in my opinion. This is the future of all medicine. It's going to be in a liquid form where water has been treated with utmost love and respect. And if you need vitamin C, we put a frequency of vitamin C in that water, the codes of vitamin C, because everything has a frequency, everything has a unique code. And when water's in this state, it's going to fully take on that code. And the minerals play an important role. The minerals help to hold those codes. They help to hold those frequencies. So this is, you know, that's one. I think I'll stop there. That was a lot, but I do want to say as one, just to point out, when you look at this Kundalini, when you get out of measurement, you'll find the bends between like here and here, the next bend down, they are 1.618 bigger as they go up the line. And anybody who knows about the golden mean ratio or the Fibonacci, it's in our bodies, it's in the nature all over. This is important. And the reason, what you see is this thing will, see if I can find one that is moving again, but it pulsates. And the water actually goes into this wobble effect. And this wobble effect is because it's tapping into the energetic field of the planet, which is wobbling. It is also pulses down here. If you fill the water up to this level, right before the water comes out and get the water, you'll watch this pulsing effect. It literally goes shh. That's because you're tapping into the pulsation of the cosmos. Everything is pulsing. The Earth Mother has a heartbeat. We have a heartbeat. Everything has this pulsation. This fifth dimensional heart-based technology taps into that pulsation of the cosmos. And you can see it like in this slow motion video, these gases imploding, coming down, and literally there's sheets and sheets and sheets, more sheets. They go faster and faster and faster until they get fully imploded into this area. And so what's happening is the hydrogen bond, the covalent bond between the hydrogen and oxygen start expanding and contracting, and combining the oxygen being sucked in. This is the major thing of getting this zeta potential, this life force energy into the water. Another thing that I believe that happens, and that is when you're standing under this, from my own personal experience, when you stand under this, you are tapping into you're tapping into where you come from. These informational fields from your star, the system you came from. I don't believe any of us come from here. And this technology supports, it is a scalar wave antenna and a scalar wave amplifier. And in a very, I feel, one of the most natural forms of creating scalar waves, and I've been working with sine wave, square wave, sawtooth, scalar for years. My teachers were both involved in this. And speaking of my teacher, Grandmother Falling Leaves, discovered this 25 years ago with a little hand device that I first invented in 1999, the Vortex Magnetic Energizer. She saw that you could direct the energy of the vortex to somebody like a prayer. All right. Then she found also you could direct this energy through the veil to the spirit world. Because at times, even spirit needs support. There's things going on in the spirit world. And so I kind of like was scratching my head 20 some years ago, but I am understanding more and more and more what she was referring to and what she was talking about. when you get in here and you get and you spend time, my guides all winter, this last winter told me to get in here every day, 30 to 45 minutes, stay under the vortex, stand right under it. And it was doing many things. They said clearing old just layers of human conditioning. It was helping me to clear away metals and toxins from the body. But more important, it was helping to activate dormant DNA. And I believe because I feel the Anunnaki, what they did with the humans years ago, it caused somewhat of a block through our Sushumna. Okay. And so this is, when you look at this is what happens with us every day. We are this in a sense. The energy comes in a spiral down through our body. This is, and our chakras are spiraling, they're spinning. So, but back to the Anunnaki, my feeling is this is one of the reasons we've forgotten who we are. There has been a block that's been put in our Sushumna and at the back of our neck here. And it goes down, it doesn't allow this energy from the cosmos to easily, fully flow through us with grace and ease, so we can fully remember the creator God, goddesses that we are, because every one of us are. We are these powerful, amazing beings beyond measure. And so off the subject, but here we are. We are programming the water in the plasma portal with photons. You can see we are pulsing. You see how I am pulsing the photons into right at the 0 point field. That's where the water goes from centripetal to centrifugal. It's where the water is wide open to say, give me what you want to give me. So you walk over here. You only need to do this like once a month. I need to go and do this. This is a super powerful way of imprinting informational fields into water. I have never shown this to many people. This is actually the first time I've ever really shown this to anybody in any amount of. So this is one of the keys of understanding alchemy in water. And I will, I think I'll stop there. It's probably enough for now. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
can stop my screen share, but there is so much to understand. Really, there's so much to understand about this. So this is when we get many people in the tub and we take turns. Everybody's directing the love to the person in the middle. And it's phenomenal what happens. When I call in the plasma purification portal deities, which are a whole group of individuals, a being named Adema, who has been a great guide for me. She is a goddess of water. She's all about water. And she's kind of like a feminine Jesus, in my opinion. And she has been guiding me for many years with this technology. It's most of the time, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following guidance. But what I have found when we get groups together and you take turns being vertically and horizontally, as you can see, the woman we're working with her horizontally, and everybody is sending love to her. There's really some phenomenal things combining this that happens. I've seen entities that people have had for years and they've known they had the entity, could not get rid of it, went to all kinds of shaman and people. They get in the water portal and the entities are like gone. They cannot handle the frequency and vibration of this.
Wow, that's incredible. I had seen some of those videos that you sent me, but I love having just everything you shared is so powerful. And I just thank you for sharing all of that. Now, I see you had a group there. Do you bring people there for retreats? Or what if somebody watching says, I really want to go do that? Is that something you're open to having people come in for?
Yes, I do. Yes, and matter of fact, I'm preparing for next summer to do many retreats, and and go into different levels for people of water alchemy and how can we create this our own medicine with water.
Wonderful. Oh, I love it so much. And it just like the end there where you're talking about the, just the frequencies and the programming of the water and the beings that you're working with. It's just, that's like the next conversation that we have in your next interview. We'll go there. Like make the whole interview about that. That's so my world and so fascinating. And wow, what an amazing thing you've created. Now, so I know that you have some things on your website. Do you actually sell the devices that, I don't know what you want to call it, program the water or put the frequencies back in the water?
I sell what I just showed, the plasma purification portal. I sell, I call that version the Artesia version, and it goes into hydroponics, aquaculture, it goes into agriculture, it goes into just having an art piece in your backyard or inside your house, or it goes into swimming pools and jacuzzis as you saw there. And one thing that I've also discovered, and that is they put, when these vortexes are running, my teacher said this to me 20 years ago. She said she could see it cleaning the air, that when these things were running, it was cleaning the air. And I'm thinking, how is it cleaning the air? But anyways, I've discovered since then with a negative ion meter, they produce a huge amount of negative ions, they're amazing air cleaners. So it's another thing about them. So I'm not, I have another one that I call Gaia's Fountain, which I didn't show. That could be in another time. That's the version that's just for drinking. And I'm working on getting molds made for that version because the cost of making them the way I was doing was just so much cost. So I'm working on attracting a conscious angel investors for this. And I am selling what I call the VME, or the Vortex Magnetic Energizer. And I sell the tensor rings and things called Triskelions. And I'm going to start, I'm now selling this monatomic plasma gold and monatomic plasma silver and the monatomic plasma platinum. They're not on the website right at this moment, but they will be coming fairly soon.
Great.
So yeah, thank you.
Okay. And your website is?
vibrantvitalwater.com.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Vibrant Vital Water. I'm definitely going to spend some more time there. I just love everything you're up to, Randy. It's fascinating. Next dimension of water alchemy, all of those things. And bringing the consciousness back to it. It's so empowering. And I really do feel and see that is what the world needs, is more consciousness and more sacredness. And that's what will restore our vitality. So thank you for being a pioneer in all of this.
Thank you.
A chance to support global waterways by supporting the Global Water Optimization Group every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Tell us about that.
Yes. So, I started this water world years ago. And the main reason is that one of my teachers gave me a report about all the toxins in the rivers, lakes, and streams going into the rivers, lakes, and streams. That's what got me on this path. And so over many years, I thought, if I create these devices, I put them. And so what I showed you, the plasma portal, my plan was to put them in rivers, lakes, and streams around the globe, right? Mm-hmm. Well, just recently, this last winter, I realized you don't need to do that. The fifth dimensional energies are here now and strong. You can bilocate that plasma portal in locations all around the globe that need the waters need support. So we get together on a Zoom meeting and we literally look at the body of water we're working on through Google Earth, and we recite the resonance alchemy syllables, me being guided by the beings that are guiding me, again, which syllables, what bodies of water through dowsing, what river this week, what body, what ocean this week. So it's basically when you understand radionic scalar waves and you work with people's pictures and you work with, a sample of their hair, I get a sample of that water from that body of water. We get the picture of the place. We're putting our prayers, we're putting our scalar waves into the water, the resonance alchemy, and then I bilocate the plasma portal several times in these locations. And I put the sample of water out in my plasma portal, a little vial, and we hang on to that vial as we are working with that body of water. Because every body of water is a little different. It's a little different. It has a little different soul to it in a sense. And we can see this by look at sockeye salmon in Alaska. There's 7 different rivers in Bristol Bay, Alaska, and those salmon swim thousands of miles across the planet every year and return right back to the river they were born. They'll swim by all the other 6 rivers and they'll go to the exact river that they were born in, and they know it. That's a good example of how all bodies of water, every river, every stream, every ocean has a little bit different minerals, a little bit different codes, a little bit different being, just like you and I. Yet we're all one.
I love that. Wow. Thank you so much, Randy. We need to end there. This has been so fascinating. I appreciate everything you've shared so much, and the work that you're doing is so powerful and multidimensional. So thank you for all that you do.
Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you, sister.
My pleasure. And for everyone watching and listening, be sure to check the show notes so you can get in on Randy's wonderful free offerings. And we'll see you on the next session. Namaste.